Good evening. It is July 6th, 2024, and it's a Saturday. Here in Sherbrooke, it is currently 24 degrees Celsius. But it's really humid. 24 degrees Celsius, 76 degrees Fahrenheit. 75% humidity. It's quite humid. I'll get into it a bit later about the humidity because I have an anecdote about that. It's mostly sunny outside. I was out earlier, but I've been sort of camping out in my room since it's very hot outside. But I'm going to go back out. I'll tell you about it. The sun rose at 5:07 a.m. It will set at 8:37 p.m. That is a clear, even 15 hours and 30 minutes of sunlight today. The days are getting shorter. We have the proof. We can just believe in it, since it's logical, since we're getting away from the solstice, but now it's documented on AccuWeather.com. Woke up at 12, roughly quarter to 1 p.m., and I had to get this janitorial work done for 3, although that ended up not being the case since I finished like 3:40, and the sound engineer nor the band weren't there. So that was fine. But it's cool. My boss showed up to do a little bit of work, and I got to chat with him and see him. Very good. It was sweet. He told me that he was really glad that we were able to see each other over the past couple of days, and we hugged. And he's a really good dude, and he's a good friend. And hadn't seen him in a while, and it was really nice to see him because he's a really good person. And I love and appreciate him. But I've been just sad and angry all day. I was like really mad. I had a bit of a rage at having to put chairs away because there's like a particular way that the chairs are stacked. It's all different kinds of chairs, and it's just sort of shitty. And I was already late, which was my fault. Or like really arriving just like really at the limit of it being possible for me to get done before 3, which in any case I didn't get done before 3, and it was fine. But I'm just stressed out about that. And then, so there's an event, there's a show last night at 11 p.m. with the Sure Blues, but there was like another event at noon, or well, probably like 1 o'clock, doesn't matter, in the early afternoon that required a bunch of chairs to be out. Put out a bunch of chairs. And then, the idea was like, we'll have a bunch of chairs, but then chairs will be just cleared out for the other show, and then we'll make the chairs for the other show. The issue, and I almost went back in the evening because I went to the store, to the card store, the board game store / card store, which I'll tell you about in a moment. I almost went back just to pick up the chairs because, as I anticipated, should have really just I thought about this when I was nearing getting home, and it was really hot and humid, and I didn't want to go back. But of course, whoever showed up there, like the sound engineer or the people working at the bar, nobody knows how those chairs are supposed to be stacked. It's like a particular way of doing it that's optimal, so that everything fits. So, I knew it. I knew coming there today that they would have done their best, but it would not have been done in a way that would have maximized my ability to get shit done quickly. So I spent a good 15 minutes, and even then they're not stacked properly. I just didn't want to undo everything to redo it. And I got really mad. I did some yelling alone in the venue while listening to punk music, because it becomes quite cathartic to, at least for me. I'm really angry. I feel rage, which isn't that often. But I was thinking earlier, what triggers this? I didn't eat The depression doesn't help. The anxiety definitely is a factor. Um, I drank like significantly less than I usually do last night because I just got very tired. So it's not the alcohol. Maybe it's like irritability through like it's a very slight withdrawal of alcohol. I don't know. But got mad, yeah. And then it turns out that I need to put like chairs and tables, which I wasn't told before. Just a miscommunication. So I ended up having to take out a bunch of other chairs. Anyway, um, but yeah, it was a busy night, so it was sort of dirty and yeah, just more work than I had anticipated, and maybe angry. But yeah, I was definitely hangry and anxious. I mean, the same thing happened like while going home. I was just like really impatient, even to the point where like there's this woman. Well, I mean, I went to the grocery store to get stuff. It doesn't matter at the grocery store. I was getting a bit frustrated leaving the grocery store. And yeah, I was just like near my house, and I was walking, and like I get frustrated when people don't know how to operate a sidewalk. Which, by the way, that particular phrasing is a reference to one of my favorite videos on the internet of this like sovereign citizen guy who's got a mobile massage van. Like no RV, it's an RV. He's like a massage therapist, but there's just videos that he has posted of his own volition on the internet of him just arguing with the police. I think in Arizona or New Mexico or something, somewhere in the desert of the U.S. And like this like police officer who shows up to this guy's house to tell him that he's getting a ticket for parking his RV on the street, which he's not supposed to do in whatever city or town he's in. And this police officer is not having any of this guy's bullshit. So he just shows up and knocks on his door and says, like, here's the ticket. So, of course, the guy filming, who's got the RV, is getting very agitated, and he's not having any of it either, right? Because it's his right as whatever free man of the land. And so finally, this cop is just like leaving. Like, so this guy starts like ranting, and so the police officer's like, "All right, whatever. Here's your ticket, and if you want, I can get it towed," and he just like leaves. I think that's what he said. I don't. It's been a while since I've seen it. But anyway, the cop is just like, whatever, and he leaves. But so this guy filming is in the middle of the street, and so the police officer is like, okay, but you gotta get out of the middle of the street. Like you can't, whatever you do, you can't just stand in the middle of the street. It's dangerous. And the guy's like, excuse me, I know how to operate a street. And so yeah, but a lot of people don't know how to operate sidewalks. It's very simple. At least in I guess other countries. Because I was going to say countries not colonized by England, but Canada was colonized by England and still drives on the right. So I don't know that there are countries in the world that were colonized by England that drive on the left side of the street. But here and in the U.S. and I think most of the world, other than certain places that were colonized by England, the street, you drive on the right side of the street. And also, if there are multiple lanes on the street, the slower you're going, you're going to go on the right-hand side. Since on the left, there are passing lanes, at least the leftmost lane. But generally speaking, the slower you're going, the more on the right you're going to be. Well, a lot of people don't understand that the same concept applies to sidewalks. It's very simple. You stay on the right hand of the sidewalk, regardless of which side of the street you are on. You stay on the right hand of the sidewalk, which allows people, if they're going faster than you, and let me tell you, spoiler, I am going to be walking faster than you most likely. There have been some people in Sherbrooke who have passed me before, who are faster walkers, and I applaud them. I mean, actually, because I walk very fast. I've got long legs, and I've got places to go. and my main mode of transportation is walking. So you stay on the right, or I mean, if you're multiple people abreast, totally fine. It's really fun to walk with other people, but just a little bit of awareness of your surroundings. Like, for example, I'm walking with somebody, say my mother, who, I mean, she's got back problems. She walks very slowly, right? Because she's got health issues. If I notice that somebody is coming up, or I see them in my peripheral vision, what I'll do is I'll make sure that we step aside and form a single file so that whoever's behind us, a person or group of people who are going fast, who are walking faster, can just go around us. It's a simple fucking thing that a lot of people don't understand, and it is a constant source of frustration in my life. And I think I really should try to not be frustrated about it anymore, but I'm unhappy in general. And I'm sad, and I'm depressed, and I'm anxious. So things like that probably affect me more. But also, it's just a question of, like, probably anxiety of just, like, social order. I don't want to say we should have, like, social order overall, like, over everything else, because that's how, like, tyranny happens. But it's just, like, just some basic understanding of social rules around not making other people's lives more difficult uselessly. Which to me is important because it just reducing the decision points and confusion and just general difficulty of navigating reality with other people. Reducing that is, I don't like that is a better way of doing things. It is a better way of doing things. You're just aware of your surroundings and what's going on, and you follow some simple, very, very simple rules. Then nobody has to expend, more energy. Nobody has to get into situations where they don't really know how to act, even like small things, because it accumulates over the course of a day. And I was walking near my place, and there's this woman who was walking towards me, totally fine. And I looked at her for a moment, because I'm like, anyway, it doesn't matter. And then I look away, and I look back, and I see that she's just like, walking like diagonally towards me, and like we're getting closer and closer. And I just said, like, what are you doing? I didn't say it to her, it says we passed. Maybe I said it in English, and I speak English, and I'm like, why are you walking towards me? Just out of like pure frustration. It's just like, why? Why would you do that? Why, like what possibly could be going on in your mind, or even like lacking from your understanding of a situation? I'm against a concrete stack of like concrete slabs. I cannot go any more farther to the right, and you're just going to walk diagonally towards me. Like, we're going to basic. You know, this isn't like a thing you have had to do like a complex geometry to understand. Like, just like understanding the world. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I'm frustrated today. I'm sad. I've been feeling anger today, and I just want today to be over. And so I ate finally. I feel better. But then I drank a bit of alcohol, which made me feel better, but not really. Like, ultimately not, because I just want to drink more. I was listening to a podcast about habituation, the psychological concept of habituation, which makes sense. And yeah, there's an interesting part about like how people who tend to have, like, more susceptible to depression adapt slower, like will habituate slower. Like, habituation is the process in which, like, because we have like a limited bandwidth of attention, and like ability to like process new situations will just like get used to shit. That's basically what it is. We'll get used to stuff, and so like inevitably like being in a relationship with somebody will be less exciting over time, so we get used to it, right? The first bite of your delicious ice cream is going to be tastier than the second bite, right? To finish this, because like what I'm going to do, I'm going to drink more later, 100%. It's going to happen. But what I am going to do is I'm going to go to the mountain right now. I'm just directly going and buying more alcohol and just drinking myself into oblivion, as I'm going to do later. I'll go to the mountain first. Maybe listen to Aldous Harding, because today I'm thinking about the song Passion Babe by Aldous Harding. It's a great song. Warm Chris, which is the album. This is from her latest. It's her latest album in 2022. Fantastic. She's doing a lot more like experimenting with her voice on this album, which has been very, very interesting, and I would say successful in each track. It's really great. I'm a huge fan of Aldous Harding. Check this one out. The lyrics are very good too. Oh yeah, Humidity. So I went to the card game store yesterday, and I ended up buying. Told myself like they're not going to have the majority of what I want, so I'll buy some of it. Well, they had everything. The full text Mountain. They had the Innistrad Crimson Vow Mountains as well, and they had, of course, that's one thing that I'm sure they would have was Brave the Wilds, which isn't actually really that good in my Commander deck, but I love it conceptually. Actually, I'll show it to you. It's fantastic conceptually. There's really no point in showing you the. You can maybe see it a bit. Not really, but costs 1 green mana and it's a sorcery. It has Bargain. You may sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token as you cast this spell. If this spell was Bargain, target land you control becomes a 3/3 elemental creature with haste that's still a land. Oh yeah, and then search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. So yeah, it's not that great. And yeah, creating an elemental creature that is still a land is good in my deck, but I don't really have. I mean, I have a few different ways to create tokens, but they're not really enchantments I would want to like sacrifice or artifacts. But yeah, I don't have that many ways. Like that's not like the basis of my deck. But what was really interesting was that like okay, so the full text land, so like just a mountain that has like the rules text for the card mountain on it, which I think is very funny. But they only had a foil one, and the Secret Lair cards in foil. I mean, all foil cards have this issue, but especially the Secret Lair ones. From what I understand, have this thing where they will curve. So depending on, this is actually really interesting to me. I looked it up yesterday. Depending on where they were printed, they will curve more or less, and like depending on whether it's too dry or too humid, which again depends on whether we're printed what's too dry and too humid, they might curve upwards or downwards. Well, I got one where it required more humidity, and I believe that it was printed in Texas. There's a Reddit user who during the pandemic didn't have anything to do, so he just like did a bunch of tests. And so I took it out of its inner sleeve, and it was like very curved to the point where it was unplayable. Like I couldn't put it in my deck because every single time, like it was like you could look at it and it was visible that there was a curved card. And then also like every single time I take my deck, if I would just like let it separate itself, it would just separate itself where the card was. But I left it out in a drawer for one night, and look, it's straight. It's crazy. Put it back in its inner sleeve, and look, it's so beautiful. It's just the text, the rules text. It's so funny. So hopefully it stays like this. If not, they're like, look at packets of shit that you can put to add humidity. Anyway, I'm gonna leave. This is not gonna come out till later since I'm not gonna spend the time to upload it right now. I'm gonna go to the mountain real quick. Then I'm going to, as Laurie Shaw saying, drink myself back to year zero. So later tonight, I was thinking of maybe going to the festival, but I'm not going to go to the festival. I think that the music that is playing tonight is not my bag at all, and it would not be fun, and I don't really feel like... I know I should probably see people and be helpful, but I don't really want to go out and socialize. It's going to rain. That's fine. I'll just be in the rain at the mountain. Doesn't really matter. But it's going to stop raining at 11, between 11 and 12. And it's going to, or maybe I won't go to the mountain. It's entirely possible if it starts raining. I don't know. It's going to be 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy. Oh yeah, I saw the TV Glow last night, which I was talking about recently, and not a fan. I enjoy... The message is good. I do really appreciate the fact that Jane Schoenbrunn was given a lot of leeway to do what they wanted to do, but I think it is generally unsuccessful. Visually, it's fantastic. The visual style and the special effects are great. I know I said I was going to leave, but I do want to talk about this. Nobody else talked to this about. Visual style is great. Compared to the rest of the film, some of the parts in the 90s TV series, which really spoke to me, because there are clear references to Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was a very frightening children's show in the 90s. And there's one particular episode that was one of the scariest things, one of the most terrifying pieces of media I saw. I don't think anything has scared me that much. I think I talked about the Power Rangers movie the other day. That was frightening. Or no, that was on stream. I talked about the Power Rangers movie and Ivan Ooze, who frightened me a lot as a child. But this episode, scared the living shit out of me. It had this jester who was in this comic book. He was a comic book character, and this kid gets this comic book and gets a bunch of water or liquid on it, puts it in the microwave, and it just explodes, and this jester comes out, who's got this blue goo coming out of his mouth, which there's blue goo coming out of mouths in that. I wonder if Jane Schoenbrunn was traumatized by the same episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark as I was, which would be very funny. But yeah, I think overall there's especially one major decision in the casting that doesn't make sense until very late in the film, and it's just it is frustratingly distracting until then. Even though it makes sense later, I just wondering why was this decision made. There are some fantastic scenes. It's not long. It's I think almost exactly 90 minutes. I think it's in 91 minutes before the credits hit, and yet it still feels very slow. It's very slow paced, and I like slow movies, but this one was too slow. I find it took about 50 minutes to get good, and even then it was good for 20 minutes, and the last 10 minutes weren't very good. Or maybe last 20 minutes. I don't know. Yeah. And then near the end, the symbolism just gets really heavy-handed, in the fact that it's literally written down in the movie, But some of the performances were to me, unconvincing and not ideal. But the same actors also had some scenes where their performances were fantastic, right? So I don't think it's like the actors weren't good. I think it's just like, I don't know. And there's some fourth wall breaking stuff that I don't know. I don't think works. That's the thing. Is like, it's a bold film. I'd recommend watching it if you're curious about it. It's only an hour and a half long, but it tries a lot of stuff. Some of it works really well, but the majority of it just, to me, doesn't hit. Also, the music, like the score is good. The soundtrack, the songs are good for the style they're in, but it's that really obnoxious, to me, obnoxious, like Phoebe Bridgers indie folk that I find insufferable. Although there is, I don't know if it's as like King Woman or Miserable. I forget her name, but the person behind both those bands. It was like a fantastic performance, really intense performance filmed in a sort of like, I would say, an homage to the Roadhouse and Twin Peaks: The Return, where like every episode in Twin Peaks: The Return, there's like a song played by a band in the Roadhouse, except like it's personal preference. Like at first, it's Sloppy Jane, who I think is a really good artist. I just don't like her music. And then, of course, Phoebe Bridgers was on bass. Also, that I forgot her name, but the person who goes by Snail Mail acts in the film, and her performance is good. But it's that whole like Boy Genius, Lucy Dacus, Snail Mail, Phoebe Bridgers fucking scene. Julian Baker was also in Boy Genius. That whole thing, it just, to me, it's just like, I don't get it. It's just the most boring music I've ever heard in my life. Honestly, it puts me to sleep. And in the Roadhouse, you had like 9 Inch Nails. I don't know, whatever. So, check it out if you want. I don't know why I'm still talking. I'm gonna leave. I need to leave. Just didn't ask for any of this. Didn't ask to be here, to have to deal with any of this. I thought that life would get easier over time, and that is not what happened. I'm trying every day. I'm trying, but finding it very difficult to just keep going. And I don't feel like I'm a good friend these days to people. I'm unreliable. I just want to feel better. But that's not happening. So, I mean, in any case, I'll make it through today. I'll try again tomorrow. Everyone, have a good night.